Without too much elaboration, part 2 will give you the details of what you need to get hold of to make this cabinet. This is a video about the DIY honey warming cabinet and the spec you needed, or the bits and pieces you need to make it. So I'll try and run through the list as best I can, making comments as I go. Plywood comes in 8x4 sheets, but I've given you the millimeter sizes there. Whereas the foil backed insulation comes in millimeters or meter sizes. So it's, yeah, I'll leave you to think about that. I had to use 1 1/4 boards to make the whole thing. So you've got quite a bit of spare. Perhaps you've got a friend you can share it with and they can make a smaller warming cabinet or something. So I put down here the plywood cutting list. 6mm ply, both sizes for the door and the back, 29 1/4 by 48 inches. The width of the plywood sheet is 48 inches, so you just have to measure in 29 1/4 and cut one lot, then 29 1/4 and cut the other. You'll have spare, but there you go. You can use spare somewhere else for another project perhaps. 18mm plywood. You're basically cutting 22mm strips of the 48 inch width. So you go move in 22 inches, cut a full length each time. So you see you've got 4 strips there, 4 for the next one, and then you cut them down to size to 29 1/4, 46 1/2. There's a bit left over, so you cut the bit off the or it's both of the 22 inches one by 6 inches, and that caster bottom is the bit that fits right at the bottom and is the bit you screw the casters into before you attach it to the bottom bit. It just makes it easier. And the rest of the offcuts of the 18mm used to make the back end bits for the socket stands, and of course the shelves, the bits of sides for the shelves you can see there. Quick run through. You can see the foil, you can see the side bits in the image, and you can look at the video if you want to grab other bits. Slats of these you can see right in front of you, and then there's the supports underneath the slat support, and then there's those side supports on the other side to hold the whole shelf in place. I think there are 6 of them, but the side supports on the bottom shelf, they have 2 extra at the bottom because they're going to hold some weight. Sorry about the following. I recorded them in inches. I just didn't have time to do the metric conversion. In actual fact, when I was putting it through my planer, I was using metric sizes. But anyway, it's a close approximation and is really good enough for Imperial. So you've got the 4 uprights. Just be aware the 4 uprights go into you have to cut a bit out of the insulation bit at the bottom. So that's where they slot into. So you can see the sizes there. And there's 20 slats. Now I secured my slats using brad nails with an air gun because it's so much quicker. But you can screw them in just as easily. The insulation measurements, yeah, they are a bit approximate, but they're close enough. And sorry about the odd metric sizes. I tend not to use odd metric sizes, so I would do 1175 exact. But when I've done a conversion and what I saw when I measured it, I've done a straight conversion. Well, not straight conversion, straight look across on my ruler. So you've got the back wall panel. Now, the back wall panel is just pushed in shape, pushed in there. It's not held in by anything else other than the other insulation pieces. Yeah, because later on, when you go to fit the sensor, the cable sensor, as such like, you take off the back bit of the 6mm ply and just run it down behind, then poke it through the insulation. Right, there's one bit, the left side. On each of the, you notice the sizes. I've tried to get you to notice the sizes right. It's 23 3/4 is the internal size and the rounding size. So you have offcuts. So you make up the 44.25 for the left side with their offcuts. But it also makes it easier to run the cable behind. So you put the cable behind, secure that one offcut of all the left side in position. You've still got the cable sticking out because you've made, you made a channel in the insulation. So you have the cable sticking out, and then you push the next bit of offcut and you secure that one in place and secure the cables behind it at the same time. So it makes it easier to put the cables in behind. Well, yeah, I mentioned the channel. So you have to make certain you cut the channels out in the insulation, because that's the best way to feed the cable around and secure it and keep it all in place. And it then pokes out at the very top bit of the 18mm ply. You will have seen that in the video. One thing I did do is I put silver foil on the outer edge of all these bits I cut off, but I put when they were in situ, because what I found was it was easier to do that because I could trim the insulation up to make it square with the plywood outer edge, and that was just the way I was doing it. And then I put the 75mm, and when I put the 75mm adhesive, aluminium adhesive strip in, I left a little bit on the corner because I had to tuck it into the bit between the plywood and the insulation, and therefore I could hold it. It would stay in there. But I left a very fine strip of what they call the covering on the adhesive tape, and that kept it in place. And I just left it there. I tore the rest off, but just I left a bit on so I could tuck it on the bit between the ply and the insulation. Hope that makes sense. If not, ask me in the comments. Right, parts. Yeah, I've done a list of parts that you need to buy as well. I've put down here now the 75mm and 50mm aluminium tape. That's really essential to make a nice, clean, tidy job. And because what happens over time, the insulation, if exposed, gets powdery or goes off a bit. I don't know what it is, but it just goes off a bit, and it gets a bit of a mess. So by putting the aluminium tape over it, it's sealed, and it's fine. Electrical plugs, 5 at 13 amp, pretty straightforward. The toucan socket and with 2 USB ports, essential. You've got to get one of those. If you run through the list, you can see what it is. The back box is called a surface box when it's a white one. All that sort of stuff is available from places like Screwfix, Toolstation, or your local electrical suppliers. Let's carry on down. In my video, I've used the grey cable. I wouldn't recommend it. It's horrible to put into a plug, and it's stiff, and it's only good enough when you use it in a house and you're using it to put sockets in around your house. So go for a heavy duty cable, 2.5 length. You can work it out yourself by just running a tape measure over it all, and then leave a bit extra. Casters. I put my warming cabinet on casters. I put lots of things on casters, and they are, we could say godsend. You can just move the thing around. So put it on the casters. The Reptile ceramic heater, which fits into the E27. That's the screw fit one. So, yeah. Well, I bought 2. Then later on, I bought 2 as spares for a just in case. And I'll do the same on another bit of equipment. I like to have spares just in case of scenario, because I don't want to be hard to, or for something to pop or something to go. At the moment, I have not needed to use them. Lamp base bulb holder for the E27. Now, I had a bit of hassle trying to get this. What happened was the first 2 had parts missing, a screw missing basically, so I sent it back. It was off, that one particular one was off Amazon. Then I bought another pair off eBay. That arrived, smashed to smithereens because he was badly packed. So I ordered another 2, and that didn't arrive. So I got really frustrated with it. So in the end, I bought 6, or no, I got my son to buy 6 for me, and they arrived fine. So no problems. But I couldn't buy them from my local supplier. They didn't have them. They didn't stock them. But you have to have a search around Amazon or eBay, and anywhere else you can look on the internet. Now, the USB fans, you've seen them in the unit. They're really quiet because you've got the USB ports on your socket. You can actually, that's what they're there for. The 6 reptile Vivarium thermometers, you saw them on the front of mine. You don't really need them, so you don't have to buy those. They cost about a tenner, but you don't have to buy them, not at all. The latch catch toggle locks, I put 2 on. I was tempted to think I'm going to put 3 on, but I've got that clip on instead. And I reasoned that one of the problems with my plywood was I used it, but it had a slight warp in it. So when you cut your plywood up, just check to see if it's vertical or if it's got a bow. If it's got a slight bow, turn it around so that faces inside. Okay, that's just a tip. Because one side of my unit is facing inwards with a bow, and the other side is facing out. Hence the 1/4 inch problem I mentioned in the previous video. Right. An essential bit. I bought a DIY More digital thermostat. It's brilliant. If you go and do a search for one, I got that one off Amazon. I said it wrong in the video, and I said it. I got it off Amazon. What they cost? Anything from about £14 to £19, even £19.99. I think I paid just over £13 for mine. But they are available. Just search for them, and you should be able to find one, no problem at all. Yeah, that's the essential part. I particularly like that particular unit. There are other types of units around. Choose what you want. I'm not endorsing this product. I don't endorse anything, but that's the one I used. The Mercury UK appliance parameter. That's another thing that you don't necessarily have to buy. All right, you don't need to buy it. Don't need to have it. I put it in because I thought, I would like to know how much this unit costs me to run and to heat up. So that's the one to keep a check on costing for yourself. T-hinges. I did mention that I wasn't too certain about using those again, but they worked out for me. And that particular picture angle I put in there is something I've done before on another project. It's not anything special, but it was 50mm up and 50mm on the angle. And that drop down, created the ability for it to lift the door out before it shut back in. So to lift up and pull away. I made a handle out of the plywood. You've got spare offcuts, so you can make your handle. I made the plastic washers from a honey bucket lid. So you need those washers to go on the screws that will hold the 2 right and left side insulation panels in place. I didn't use them on the door, but I'll show you what I did last on the door. I actually used on the door those 60mm roofing bolts, and it was so close I didn't put any plastic on the inside, and the nuts on the inside. I should have put an E on that flange bit, but I haven't. Sorry about that. My spelling's off. But the flange self-tap ones, 3/4, they've got a little bit of flange on the top. So because the slot in the caster is quite big, and you needed to go onto something maybe at a 3/4 inch or 18mm ply, isn't that big a depth. But because it's got the flange, it holds the casters in place really well. So that's the one to go for. Now I put a list of box items for the wood screws down here. That's simply because I just went, I've used so many screws in here. I didn't want to list out. I used 25 of those or 36 or 40 screws or something else, just go out and buy a box. It's cheap enough. The odd bits of sizes, yeah, you might, if you haven't got them, and you might want to go out and buy a box. The boxes of those are a bit more expensive, so I didn't write down a box. But have a look. You might have some in your tool chest somewhere. Now I've written down some tools here. Rechargeable drill and screwdriver, pretty much cheap and easy to get hold of. And if you're buying these to do this job, don't buy the top of the range. Buy a reasonable one. I mean, you go to Aldi and buy one. That's the ones I use. No, I didn't. I buy mine from either a tool station or Screwfix. And I'm quite happy with using those. I don't necessarily recommend them. But I'm good enough for the cheaper line on those. All you want to do is drill a hole, and occasion, if it's an occasion use. Same again with the circular saw. If you need to buy one, just go out and get one from Screwfix or Tool Station. They've got a reasonably good range on their lower end, so it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. As for the 4-inch curved paring knife, well, it's the one I nicked out of the kitchen, and it's the one I do the pruning with. So it's just a kitchen knife, so you can get a nice straight kitchen knife, just slice through, nice and sharp, that slice through the aluminium and the foam, and there you go. That's the job. Hole saw. Now sometimes you get kits of these, or some of these you can buy from packs, a set of them. Sometimes there's sets available from likes of Aldi or Lidl or something like that. Or if you have to go out and buy them individually, they'll cost you quite a bit more money. But so try and look around for a set. The sets aren't usually of very high quality, so you wouldn't necessarily go through steel with them, but they're good enough to go through wood. I made the washers out of, I might have shown you here, a bucket lid. And you need a washer on when you drill, put a screw in to go through the insulation, then goes into the 18mm ply to the side and hold it in place. That, I think, is the end. So I hope it wasn't too boring. Right, thank you very much for watching. I'll leave you now to see the ending of this video. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Makes me feel better when I see new subscriptions. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching through to the end. That's it. I hope you go ahead now and have a go at making your own honey warming cabinet. So it's bye for now. Until the next time.